My name's Alicia, and I'm hoping to hear from my dad.
Alicia, would you mind coming up here just for a couple minutes?
Sure.
Again, we're all friends.
My husband will come too.
Yeah, of course. So your dad, you said? Yeah. Dad. He said, my baby girl. And then he said, she's a daddy's girl. He's like pointing to his chest, and he's making me feel like it's hard for him to breathe. At the time that he died, was it hard for him to draw breath? Was there something going on in his chest that was a problem?
He had COPD.
COPD, okay.
And he was on a trach.
He had a tracheotomy, okay. He doesn't feel that way anymore. So he doesn't want you to freeze him in that moment. He said it felt like it was really hard to breathe, and then everything was dark. He's just not showing it being traumatic for him. So he doesn't want you to think of it as him suffering and traumatic, because he feels as though it makes you sick to your stomach. And he's tired of seeing you feel sick to your stomach, okay? He's talking about the walk down the aisle. Did he get to walk you down the aisle? He did not. Okay, so the walk down the aisle was important to you. So if he had passed, then he was there with you. He says he was represented. So he saw what you did. Mm-hmm. Okay? And he loved that. So I feel like he was memorialized very much at the wedding.
He was.
Yeah. He says he was actually a lot of fun when he was young. And he thinks you have a good man here too. So you're very much a son to him, and he's thanking you for taking care of her. And but he feels like a lot of his health issues were because he had such a good time when he was young. He's sorry about that. He's sorry about that. Your dad feels friendly to me, and I just feel as though he would have given his shirt off his back for a stranger or bought a homeless person a hamburger.
He could talk to anybody.
Yeah. So he was very liked. And so he doesn't feel like he wasted any of his life. He's content with the way it turned out. He said, plus you're going to have a boy anyway and name it after him. So it's all good. He says he's going to be a little bit of a hellion. Cut him some slack. It's interesting. I feel like, I know your dad wasn't there to walk you down the aisle, but he's showing like dancing with you, and it almost seems like a daddy-daughter dance. So it just feels like there was a dance between the two of you at some point when you were not teeny, like not a little kid, but formative. Okay. And he's just showing dancing with you. So I feel like he has danced with you before at a wedding.
Yes,
right?
Long time ago, yeah.
So you've had a daddy-daughter dance. He wants you to think of that as the daddy-daughter dance when he was well. Okay? So it's one of his versions of heaven. So when he misses you, he relives that moment. Okay? He says you can too. Okay. He can eat anything now. He can eat whatever he wants. He's so happy.
He never stopped.
Oh my God. He missed food and flavors. Like he missed flavors and spicy things. And he's got his hot sauce and he's going like this, like it's on now, you know? Like oh my gosh. He makes me feel like I haven't eaten in years. Like it's just a feeling of like, thank you. He's making me feel like he's in the boys club on the other side. Like he likes hanging out with guys. Like he's just showing himself hanging out with all the guys. So this could be uncles, dad, brothers, you know, anybody connected to him. And
he's in the army.
What's that?
He was in the army as well.
Oh, okay. So he's around all guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because when he was in the army, things were different. Okay. And that's why I said earlier, they'll sit down and have a cold beer with the guys and they'll talk about how their lives turned out and stuff. So it's kind of cool. He says, never forget where you came from and who you represent. Okay. I feel like he raised you that way. That the family was a reflection on one another. But I also feel like you're so good. You don't even have to worry about that because your dad was so bad. Maybe that's why I went into the military. He says he knows how much you love him. You don't have to ask him anymore. If he knows how much, he does. And he's pretty sure you know that he would move heaven and earth for you. He says he tried to live longer for you, like he was trying to get to an event, the wedding, and he couldn't make it, and he's sorry, but he really tried. So he lived longer trying to get to that moment, and I find that so heroic in his energy and going back to his military that he was willing to take the pain to try and get to that day. That's love. He says you were beautiful. He said you were freaking out. He says you were stressed that everything wasn't going to go right. And you were happy and sad at the same time. So you were conflicted. He saw that. And it was because of him. And he knows that. But he's saying now you can just be happy about that day, knowing he was there. Okay? Sorry. Your dad's sarcastic in the sense that he'll say things under his breath, like, you know what I mean? Like, sort of to me. Like, and I feel like your dad is sent pets that he doesn't necessarily want. And it kind of reminds me of my dad, because my dad didn't really have pets growing up. And so he has our hamsters, Lenny and Squiggy. He's got like 5 of our cats. He's got Eleanor Roosevelt, our pug. You know, he's got like all these, and they're just not his thing. But he'll watch them for me. And maybe he was okay with, your dad was more okay than my dad was, but I kind of feel like there's some weird pets that are ending up over there. Okay. So I don't know if you had like a brother that had lizards, or there were things that are less savory than a fluffy kitten.
Right.
But it just feels like some weird things.
I had a couple hamsters that the dog would get.
Oh. It's like a version of Jaws in your house. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so he's got that. He's got those hamsters. And it just feels like there are pets in the family, not even just from you, but this could be cousins and other people, but it just feels like they're sort of, you know, random animals, not cats and dogs. He is talking about a picture of him. He's talking about his arms being big in a white t-shirt when he was young. He feels like he was strong, and maybe it shows off his biceps a little bit. Okay. And I feel like he's holding you, like when you're a baby or something. So go through the photographs and try and find that, because it's one of his favorites. Okay. Okay. I said to your dad, how old are you? And he goes, well, he's like, I was kind of conflicted. He's like, I really liked 18. But then he's like, but 23, you know, I'd found love by then. It just feels like by that point he'd been around a little bit more. Okay. You know, it was a little different. 18 just feels like he was still a bit of a child that was acting out and having fun. Mm-hmm. So he was a little conflicted because he can go back whenever he wants, and that's very tempting to go back to 18 for him. He says the music was so good. So your dad's songs from around that time period in his life are going to come on for you, and they're going to remind you of him. He also says he's very much a guy's guy, in that this seems funny to him. He's old school. He just feels very old school as a person, and he's got a truck where he's at, and his arm's just sort of hanging out of it. He's driving it, and he just likes to drive. He just likes to like road trip it. Do you have any questions for him? Because he's actually at peace with his passing. He's known it was coming for a long time. He was just trying to live long enough to pass your hand to his hand.
Okay. Yeah, that
So-
was my question.
Okay, so
That's what I-
he was just making sure you got to him because he'll now take care of you the rest of your life. He loves you. And your dad approves and loves him too. And your dad's so glad to be out of that body. He really hated it. And that was the only way out. He's like, that was the only alternative. But he said, never think it's because I didn't love you. So you're going to have kids kind of close together. He's just giving you a heads up. So if you're not ready to start, be careful. Okay. So he's just showing them in quick succession. So
Okay.
he's showing 3.
Okay.
So I don't know how many you're planning on having,
We weren't
but
planning on any.
neither was I. So yeah. But you know what? I'm so glad that we did because my little Sophia wouldn't be here. I mean, they change you in ways you don't even know you need to be changed in that way, And I think that's important to your dad as well, because this is the second time he's bringing it up.
Okay.
There's going to be a little girl that has his heart,
Okay.
and it feels like there would be 2 boys.
Okay.
And he's like, great kids. They're just
Okay.
waiting.
Okay.
You're healthy. You can have kids, just so you know.
Okay.
You too. He says you'll always be a daddy's girl, and he'll always carry you right here. He says he loves you. I'm going to break my connection with him and send him with you.